Okay, how is it now? Can you hear me now? Testing, testing. Can you hear me now? My God, this has been such an exercise in patience, I tell you. I tell you what, it's no joke, man. You should be able to hear me now, though, right? My sound is on. How do I look? Is it coming through clear? You can hear me. Okay, great. Is the video clear? Like, is it looking clear? Let me check it out on my phone too. I'm telling you guys, this has not been at all easy. My phone too. Oh, I'm telling you guys, this has not been at all easy. My phone too. Oh, I'm telling you guys, this has not been at all easy. My phone too. Oh, I'm telling you guys, this has not been. Stop that. Okay, I think we may have it worked out. This has been a crazy day, a crazy day. Let me know if you are watching. I'm going to put this on mute so we don't get any feedback. I just want to see how it looks on my phone. It looks all right. How are you doing, Dawn? How was your day? I didn't get notifications, so I hope people see and join. Actually, it would be good if nobody sees and joins this today. Wow. I want it to just be for us and for me to get a little practice going. Let me just, while we wait for a couple, I see another pair of eyes here. Lynn, is that you? Is that you, Lynn? Let me test out a couple of my slides here. Okay, here's my Cookie Monster slide. You know what I do need to do is figure out how to flip my camera, mirror my camera. There we go. Whew. Go back to the comments. Let's see if this works. Yay, that part works. Let me see a longer comment. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. Let me know if you are watching. Dawn is here. Let me know who else is here. Dawn says, I'm feeling a lot better, but not 100%. I'm all juice again. Good girl. You know, I have my coconut water over here. I would say for the last week. Hello. Oh my God, Raboon. I would say for the last week, I have been kind of eating some solid food and even eating a little bit of cooked food. And I'm not really happy about that. I can tell that my detox has slowed down because my inflammation isn't leaving my body quite as nicely as it was and kind of rapidly, which is kind of what I'd like to see. But it's all good because I said, you know what, today I'm going to go back and jump in with my all juicing just because my body needs it, you know. Ram Moon is here from the UK. Oh my gosh, wait. What's your real name? What's your real name? I think I know who it is. Dawn says, I like how that happened. Okay. I just did my herbal teas today and grapefruit orange ginger juice. I can't get enough of this juice. So I'm leaning in. Yes, babe, lean in. Hi, Sue. Okay, your name is Sue. So good to see you, Sue. So good to see you. Let me check and see if the others from um, the chat are in here. So give me 1 second. Okay. Let me let Lynn know. because this class is really important for all of us. But Lynn really wanted to be here. So, I think just before we get started, this is my first class back teaching live since last April. So, getting the studio set up was a bit of a challenge and a struggle. Number one, I forgot how I used to do it. And number two, I'm doing it on very, very minimal bandwidth in terms of my internet because we are, as you can see, at the beach house where I now live. And the bandwidth out here is just crazy crappy. 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 And so, yeah. So I'm just going to wait for a few more people. Y'all know that this is not usually how long I take when I'm teaching an actual course, an actual class, but that's okay because we can edit this part down. Let me know. Ramoon Sue, how are you doing, Sue? Give me a little heads up. Are you on a juicy detox protocol? Are you just I think you're obviously raw, which is amazing by your name. Give me a little heads up. I am so excited about this course, you guys. This class in particular is something that has completely transformed and changed my perspective, not only on myself, but on how to help more people with their detox protocol. I realized after learning about Dr. Joan Iflin's work and after signing up with her program to become a certified processed food addiction recovery specialist, that this is the reason why so many of us struggle hard, even when we know that this is something important to take care of, and that this is I'm halfway hidden behind the Cookie Monster. Still, what? Tell me if that's still a thing. Dawn says I'm halfway hidden behind the Cookie Monster. Still, Dawn? Even though we can know all the, yes, you're hidden. Oh well. Give me 1 second. Let me try to switch this up. How about now? Ah, Talia's here. Yeah, see, that's what everybody's saying. It's like, am I better here? Is this it? See how messed up this all is? I'm telling you guys, this is not. Oh my God. Be patient with me. I know you are. I know you are. You're right. Is this good? Is this it? Can you see me now? Can you see me now? Perfect here. Okay. Awesome. It's so strange for me because I'm standing. Now I'm more hidden. Okay. On my camera, I see half of your face, says Dawn. What about here? This is better. It's so bizarre. Right now, on my side of things, I I'm right behind the Cookie Monster. I am the Cookie Monster right now. Lynn is here. Awesome. No, go back. Talia says, no, go back. How come some of you go wherever your mic is? My mic is here. Is this better? I'm going to stand right in front of my mic. Tell me if this is good. Oh boy. By the way, thank you so much for helping me sort this out. Is this good now? If I stand right in front of the microphone, are we good? Because even on my side, it looked, that's perfect, says Talia. Woo! Y'all, the struggle is real. I'm not even kidding. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying this shit show that I call my life here, trying to sort out technology. The comments are delayed. Go back. You see the live chat in here. Yes, Dawn says, stay with the mic. Okay. I'll go stay with the mic. Oh my God. It's so good. Don't worry. No, I'm not worried so much as I needed to is that good? If I turn it like this, does that work for you guys? Tell me in the comments. I needed to line up properly. And it's been a hot minute since I've taught class this way. So we'll see if it works. We'll see if it works. We'll see if it. Oh, stay with the mic. Stay with the mic. Stay with the mic. The struggle is real, Sue. I'm not even kidding you. Okay. So weird because I'm off to the left on my. Never mind. You don't need to know all the issues. You just need to sit back and enjoy this class because this class was created with all of you in mind and me in mind as well. And I really appreciate you guys being here to test run this because if I was filming this live on my Facebook and YouTube here, I would have been very annoyed. Right now, I'm just enjoying the lime with you guys, as we say in Trinidad. We're lime in. We lime in. I want to try one more thing with my setting to see if it works, and that is if I can go. No, it won't let me go high definition. Okay, whatever. Whatevs. 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 I'm so sorry for the delay. I am honestly just trying to come back in my body a little bit because, Annie's here. Hi, Annie. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, shall we begin? Shall we begin? If I stand here, I am more behind the Cookie Monster, and it is a bit of a delay. This off-centered situation is really messing with my OCD brain. I'm not even kidding you. Picture is good, says Annie. Okay, awesome. That's important. The picture is good. You can all hear me, which is even better. And I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to get my coconut water. Give me 1 second. Delicious. Okay. All right, are we ready? I'm ready. You ready? Let's do this. Before we begin, honestly, I need to take a moment to just call in all of the good energy. And know that everything is always working out for all of us. Even when it feels like it's not, it is. Okay, let's begin. Welcome to the Real Juicy Detox, everybody. Welcome to my beach house. I'm Burns. I am your Dr. Morse certified detox specialist and also your processed food addiction recovery specialist. And I'm here to share with you this really beautiful and powerful class that I have prepared for you so that we can better understand processed food addiction, because I really do believe that until we really get a handle and a grasp and an understanding of processed food addiction and how we have become addicted to this stuff, we are never really going to be able to implement a detox lifestyle for the long term. So this is my intention for you. And I want to introduce you to somebody that we all know and love, the Cookie Monster. He was actually our first introduction into processed food addiction. That's right. What I'd like to do is I'm going to teach the lecture. For those of you who've never been in a formal class of mine, this is very different than a regular Facebook live stream or YouTube stream. This is one where I have a specific curriculum that I'm going to be teaching, and I encourage you guys to, whenever you feel something resonate with you or something that you want to comment on, drop it in the comments, and I will come back and I will go through. If you have any questions or any concerns or whatever pops into your mind, then definitely drop it there and I will come back. Can you all still see me and hear me? Let me check on that first, because I see my eyes have dropped down to 2 pairs of eyes, which is kind of weird. So I just want to make sure that you can all still see me. Excuse me one second. Dali, can you bring me one of the tall bar stools for my juice from downstairs? Okay, thanks. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. The work that I am going to be sharing with you is from this beautiful book called Processed Food Addiction: Foundations, Assessment, and Recovery. It's really the first textbook that was written on the subject, and it's written by and spearheaded by Dr. Joan Ifland, who is my teacher in this field as well. So I would like to give credit where credit is due. This work and this presentation would not be possible without her, and it is really, really valuable information. All right, this is massive, you guys. There is something going on right before our eyes, right under our noses, and it is affecting all of us. Most of us don't even know that it is happening. It's massive. It's massive. Before we can even begin to heal or do any detox protocol, which is what brought you here today, this needs to be addressed and understood. First of all, the word addiction comes from the same root as dictator. It is also the root for slavery. An addiction is the process of coming under the control of a dictator. Having an addiction is like having a narcissistic sociopath dictator inside your head. And you can see this on MRIs. They've actually done research where they take images during MRI scans, and that these things can be seen. The brain lights up in these different kinds of ways. The release of craving neurotransmitters from the addiction pathways is so great that it takes over the whole brain, and the entire rest of the brain stops working. It doesn't matter if it is tobacco, if it's alcohol, if it's heroin, cocaine, food, porn, shopping, it doesn't matter. This is true of all addictions. There are some commonalities to all addictions. So what does the dictator in our head sound like? It sounds like this. I'm first. I want no matter what anybody else wants. I know what I want and I want it now. For example, we might say, hey, you want to go study? And that dictator in your head says, no, I want to get coffee, or I want to go and eat, or I want to do something else related to the addiction, whichever one it is that you have. You might then say, maybe I should just lay off the coffee for a little bit. It's upsetting my tummy and it's making me so jittery and irritable. And then that voice comes back up in your head, that dictator voice that says, shut up. I'm going to have it no matter how shitty I feel. You can't stop me. The dictator, you might say, well, I want to follow this detox protocol. And this dictator comes back up again in your head. No, I want to eat those pepperoni sticks. What's wrong with you? And you say, okay, I'll have the pepperoni sticks. It's something that is so ingrained and so pervasive. And let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of that. It's like, you know that you want to do the right thing. You know that you want to do the healthy option, but you have this little voice. For me, the way that I often saw it come up was, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I can be bad. I can be a rebel. Fuck you, Burns. I'm going to do this thing that I want to do. That's for me how it often comes up. Like, I don't want to behave. I want to be bad. Research has shown that by the time you reach out for help to stop eating what you know is not good, it's because you are seeking help because you are addicted and you just can't stop on your own. If you could have, you would have. So the first thing that I want to say to you is give yourself a pat on the back that you're actually reaching out for help, because that is really a good thing, because now you're in a place where you're going to actually find help. So let me give you a little bit of disclosure about me and who I am. I am Burns of The Real Juicy Detox, and I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology, a Bachelor of Education degree, and I'm a retired teacher of 20 years. As an educator, I taught, by the way, junior kindergarten through grade 11 fashion, and I loved it. For 20 years, I taught just about every single grade. I loved teaching different grades because I was able to really tap into that developmental stage that we all go through. And no matter what age or what stage my kids were at, the same thing held true. As an educator, my core foundation and guiding principle was to provide an environment where students felt safe to learn and explore, safe to experiment with new concepts without the fear of failure or judgment, so that they can experience success at any level. This is really important. I clued into this really early in my career as a teacher. And what I found was most people don't even want to try something new because there's this fear of failure. The fear of failure is what can keep us really, really stuck. So my mission as a teacher has always been to make people feel welcome, make them feel like this is a safe place to experiment, to make mistakes, to explore, to come back and try things again. And as a result of that, my students always were the highest performing in the school, regardless of their academic ability, which was really very cool. I have a company, The Real Juicy Detox, where I provide services online and one-to-one to people who are struggling with diseases in the body and who are ready to take a natural approach to their healing, because the medical community has proven to be unhelpful and in some cases catastrophically detrimental to their quality of life. They're ready to feel better and to transform their lives from the inside out, and are highly committed and dedicated to their transformation. Just because you have an addiction to food, to processed food, does not mean that you're not highly committed and highly dedicated to your transformation. It just means that you have this huge barrier in front of you that until you start learning all of the things that I'm going to teach you in this class, until then, it becomes almost impossible to surmount. Within our community, we have seen countless incredible testimonials of healing from following our protocol, using living foods to heal, detoxify, and regenerate problems, which have persisted for decades in as little as a few days. Recently, Carol one of our students posted that after 38 years on blood pressure medication, 38 years since she was 20 years old, after 3 days of doing our watermelon juice fast, she is now completely off of her blood pressure medication. She's sleeping really well. She's no issues with her blood pressure. Really powerful in just 3 days. And of course, she's continuing on because she wants to see what else she can heal in her body. But we also see so many struggling with getting started or staying on a healthy detox friendly but we also see so many struggling with getting started or staying on a healthy detox friendly lifestyle because of their addiction to processed food. Many people I work with also have a hard time following directions, not because they're bad or because they're stupid, but because they have an addiction to processed food and don't even realize it. No matter how clearly laid out the protocol is for them, they have a hard time getting started. Or they can get started, they can follow it for a certain amount of time, they have some initial success, and then they relapse. I went through this myself when we moved to Mexico. When we packed up the house, right after I taught my last series of classes last April, life really got very busy. I stopped doing all of the beautiful raw food prep because I didn't have a kitchen anymore. We were totally renovating it. When we moved down to Mexico, life was kind of up in the air, and we slowly started to let certain dirty food back in, like bread and processed grains and dairy, and it really started to impact us. It really did. We're back on the straight and narrow now, which is great. But for the best of us, even knowing everything that I know, even having experienced the incredible, powerful healing benefits, everybody can relapse from time to time, and that's okay. It's part of the addiction, and it's part of the process of healing. And some may get all the information they need to get started, and they totally ghost me, never to be heard from again. That's also very normal. I don't take it personally. I know what's at play here. It's part of the addiction. This is because they're likely struggling with a processed food addiction, which hits close to home because, like I said, I have had a lifelong history with the same addiction. So I started my own detox protocol in June of 2020, and then became a certified detox specialist with Dr. Robert Morse, who I love and cherish with all my heart. He's a beautiful, beautiful soul. But I did that so that I could, with absolute confidence, heal myself and help others gain the same success and confidence that I had. I was healing from a very serious cancer diagnosis. I still am, which is just fine. It takes a while to heal some of the really deeper rooted problems that we have, and that's okay. I began training as a certified processed food addiction recovery specialist with Dr. Joan Ifland, who I mentioned, when I saw that so many detox students, myself included, struggled with this addiction and did not even realize it had a name. So I want to show you a few of the pictures that nobody has seen of me before. These are some of the pictures. I think this was from 2009. Throughout my entire life, I've always battled with I've always had a battle with the bulge. I've always had a struggle with my weight, and I never realized that it was because of this processed food addiction. Looking back on it now, I can see how miserable I was. I can see how sad I was. Even behind that smile, there was a lot of sadness. And there were times when I could bounce back and I could go on a diet. I think we were on a cruise here. And, I went through my hard drive the other day and I could find all of the calendars and all of the meal plans and all of the diets and all of the workout plans that were clearly right in front of me. And I could lose the weight. And then as soon as I got back from that event, the weight would just come back on full force. It doesn't look like me, does it? But it is. This is a picture of me with the wig. I had my hair going on. But this is a picture of me a month before I was diagnosed with gastrointestinal stromal tumor in November of 2011. I could always dress well for my size, I think. Sometimes, maybe I was just fooling myself a little bit, but, I was clearly extremely inflamed, which would definitely lead to a lot of health concerns. But again, I had no idea that I was a processed food addict all the way along. And then in June of 2020, I discovered juicing. And I discovered that, um, they wanted to resect my liver for the second time. They wanted to put me under for a third open abdominal surgery. The first one, I had 90% of my stomach removed in 2011. In 2017, you can see my scar there. In 2017, I had 75% of my liver removed. And I was scheduled again to go under surgery. And I said, well, hold on a minute. If I go back into surgery looking like this, I wasn't going to survive. And I knew it because I knew how hard surgery was on my body previously. And I was on my knees crying, praying for something to cross my path so that I can get a grip and get a handle on my weight before surgery. And as it turned out, I was introduced to Dr. Robert Morse. I was actually following John Rose's protocol, but of solid food vacation. And people started messaging me. I started sharing about it on Facebook, as I do. And people started reaching out and asking me, have you heard about Dr. Morse? Have you heard about Dr. Morse? And I looked him up a little bit, and I was like, I don't think I like him. And eventually I just said, Burns, put your ego away, go listen to the man. And as soon as I started to listen to him, I knew that I found my solution and my resource to help heal my body. This was my transformation. And this was me 1 year after I started my juice fast. I transformed my body almost immediately, I would say within the first 30 to 45 days. And I started teaching other people because I'm passionate about teaching. That's how I am. And this is me a few months ago, maintaining a normal body weight because even having dipped into some dirty processed food here and there, we still kept our lifestyle fairly clean. Like we still kept fruit and fruit juice very high on our list of priorities in the house. So let's talk about the shift. Let's talk about the shift of food and when processed food became an issue for us. So pre-1980s, we ate food. It was just, there was some processing of it, but it wasn't so filled with additives and chemicals and toxins. And we're going to get into exactly what they started to change at about this time. And post-1980s, we see the use of addictive processed food-like substances. These are really not foods. There's food-like substances. They're things that look like food and resemble food, but really it's not fit for human consumption. 30 years later, are we addressing eating problems? Is it an overeating issue? Or is it an addiction issue? That is what this class will hopefully clarify for you guys, that it is in fact an addiction issue. So throughout this course, throughout this masterclass here that we are working on and talking about today, we're going to be looking at the addiction epidemic model. We're going to be looking at who spreads food addiction, the impact on the brain, understanding why we quit protocols that are here to help us be healthier. We're going to talk about finding freedom, reclaiming your health, and we're going to talk also about how to detoxify the toxicity, because it's one thing to stop eating the processed food. If you can do that, awesome. And I mean all of it. I don't just mean giving up sugar and then still eating other shit. Okay, I'm talking about giving up all food that comes with a label on it. That's right. if it has a label, it's processed. If it comes out of a processing factory, a processing plant, it is processed. And I'm going to talk a little bit towards the end about why it is not only important to cut these foods out of the diet, out of your body, but why it's also important to detoxify the toxicity that has been built up in our cells. Because just because we stop eating sugar doesn't mean that the effect of that doesn't still linger on in the body. It absolutely does. And that is what is absolutely critical and a missing component that really needs to be addressed. So how do you know if you have a processed food addiction? Dr. Joan Ifland designed and came up with the only self-quiz based on the addiction diagnosis criteria developed by the American Psychiatric Association as published in their diagnostic manual, the DSM-5. Learning how processed food addiction may be showing up in your life is the first step to reaping the benefits of recovery. So I'm going to take you through really quickly and just jot down on a piece of paper, just do a little tab, just do a little tally, as it were, as we go through the next few slides to see, do you have a processed food addiction? If you say yes to 2 to 3 of the 11 questions, you have a mild addiction, 4 to 5, moderate, and over 6 or more is a severe addiction. So you may have a processed food addiction if you have eaten more than intended, have tried to cut back on eating, have spent a lot of time planning, getting food, eating, and recovering from eating. And I'm not talking about the normal, making dinner for the family and all that stuff. I'm talking about a lot of time planning, thinking about eating, and recovering from junk food. If you experience cravings or urges to eat processed food, if you find it hard to fulfill roles at home, work, school, or volunteering, if you have relationship problems related to eating, if you have given up important work or social activities in order to eat, if you eat even when it is hazardous or dangerous to do so, like if you, like myself, have a diagnosis of cancer and you know that the processed foods is not helping your story, your situation, and yet you can't help yourself, you're still eating it. Or if you have any other health concerns, if you have bowel issues, if you have leaky gut syndrome, if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, if you have whatever it is, whatever is the condition that you have, then you know that processed food is not good for you, and you know that it's dangerous for you to keep on eating these things and you're still eating them, you might have a processed food addiction. If you eat excessively in spite of knowing about the consequences, if you eat more than you used to eat in order to get the feeling that you want, and if you eat for reasons other than hunger, such as boredom, fatigue, loneliness, anger, depression, headache, stomachache, pain, stress, then you might have a processed food addiction. Let me know in the comments what you guys scored. If you struggle with following directions on a clean eating or a detox protocol or program, even though they're very insightful, they make complete sense. The truth is self-evident. You know it's truth when it hits you right here in your solar plexus and right here throughout your whole body. You know that, yes, that is truth, and you still struggle with following directions, you might have a processed food addiction. If you struggle with getting started, and if you can follow a well laid out, proven plan, but you fall off the wagon, you relapse back into eating junk food again, even though you've seen positive results when you did follow the program, you might have a processed food addiction. These are not part of the 11 criteria, by the way. Those were on the other 3 slides, but you may want to consider that. So let's talk about how this all started. Like, where did things go so awry? What the hell happened, right? The big shift in the food industry happened when big tobacco in the early 80s, and I remember this time very, very well. In the mid 80s, there was a big push by Congress to limit smoking in public places. Do you guys remember that? For me, it was 1987, and I was living at Stone College at York University in Toronto, Ontario, and I was a smoker. I'd actually been a smoker since I was 10. I know. It's the addiction model. They're good. They're fucking good. They know what they're doing, right? But in 1987, people all throughout the dorm, because I lived in the dorm with my sister, started saying, "Oh, you can't smoke inside anymore." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's my dorm room. Of course I can smoke inside. You can't tell me what I can do and can't do in my dorm room." No, no, serious, Burns, you can't smoke inside. And sure enough, that became law. They started putting, signage on smoking packages about how it destroys your lungs and how it causes this and that and the other. And the tobacco industry realized, oh shit, our profits are going to be cut in half. By the way, at that time, 3/4 of the population, 66%, 2/3, excuse me, 2/3 of the population, the adult population, had been addicted to tobacco. That's a significant number, and it's going to come up again. I want you guys to jot that down and remember that. But in 1985, these tobacco companies realized that, oh my God, we're not going to be making the same profits that we used to make. We got to get into some other industry where we can continue to make big profits, because we're not going down. We're not going down just because you tell people that they can't smoke inside and you ban smoking and you this and that. So in 1985, R.J. Reynolds bought 85% of Nabisco. In 1985, Philip Morris bought General Foods. In 1988, Philip Morris also bought Kraft Foods, and Philip Morris controlled 10% of American food purchases. Significant, significant. The epidemic business model, yes, there's actually a business model around the concept of causing dis-ease on an epidemic level. And when the tobacco industry was losing money, their executives applied the modern industrial epidemic of addiction model. There's actually, I went and I researched this. It's pretty dark. There's actually a business model surrounding and creating an epidemic of addiction, and they know exactly how to do it because they did it with tobacco, and they applied the same principles that they applied to tobacco. They applied that to the processed food industry. Let me know in the comments if this is absolutely making you throw up a little bit in your mouth, because I'm telling you, we need to be aware of this though. We need to understand who is putting the food on the shelves that we are buying, thinking that, oh, this is just a little treat. Oh, it's smart candy. Their marketing strategy has just gone off the charts with this. This is an extensively researched, highly profitable, and implemented business model. Soon, millions had made the shift from eating food to food addiction, and they didn't even know it. We became users of drugs. So the modern industrial epidemic model says that the concept of an epidemic associated with the commercialization of a dangerous product was first developed in the instance of tobacco. Industrial disease epidemics are driven at least in part, by corporations and their allies who promote a product that is also a disease agent, and they do this knowingly. They don't care about your health. They only care about their profits. And how did they do it? They did it the same way that they did it with tobacco. Every time I talk about processed food, I want you to just put in there tobacco, and it will make even more sense. So there's the 5 A's of neuromarketing. Number 1, it is all based on teaching the brain to crave. The addiction neurons are very vulnerable to training. They only have to see something one time before they not only know about it, but they know everything about it. They know every cue, they know every trigger, They know everything associated with that addictive element. And they really know about processed food because it's an addiction and a food. Everybody has to eat. Everybody has to eat. So our cues around food are directly linked to our cues around addiction. So, how do they teach the brain to crave? It's really easy. They make an addictive product formulation. They take the food and they formulate it in a very addictive way. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Advertising, lots and lots and lots and lots of impressions, advertising everywhere, billboards everywhere, all throughout everything. And I'm going to show you more examples of that. They get us by age. The youngest possible embeds neural programming. They get the youngest ones. Well, I'm going to show you all this in a minute. You'll see. And availability and affordability. They completely remove all barriers to access. They make it really easy for you to get the stuff, and they make it really super affordable, because if it was really expensive, nobody would buy into it. It's the same thing that they did with tobacco. Back in the day, before rolling machines were created, the tobacco companies had to hire rollers of cigarettes. They actually had human beings touching every cigarette, rolling them, which was very expensive. In comes the advent of the rolling processing machines, and all of a sudden, a pack of cigarettes becomes very inexpensive to make, making it highly addictive. So, who uses this business model? Tobacco markets smoking to teens. Alcohol markets drinking to teenage girls, particularly in Canada, where the drinking age is 18 years old. So it's a rampant problem amongst teen girls in Canada. Pharma markets opiates to doctors. Tobacco and alcohol market cannabis. Now, let me just stop here for a minute. You guys know my position on cannabis as a powerful herb and a powerful medicine. However, when we smoke it and when we ingest it wrapped around all kinds of corn syrups and all the edibles that are delicious, let me tell you, they are loaded with the same destructive processed chemicals as in all candy. Let's not kid ourselves. When you make cannabis medicine, as I have done and I have talked about, for use in suppositories as an alternative to cancer treatment and as an alternative to pain medicine, that's a completely different thing. The tobacco and alcohol industry, in particular in Canada, has really caught up with the money-making opportunity that cannabis has for the industry. Every street corner has at least 4 or 5 dispensaries. I forgot the word for a minute. Has at least 4 or 5 dispensaries where it's a free-for-all. Now, again, I have nothing against cannabis. I love it as an herb. It's one of the most powerful herbs on the planet, in my opinion, the most powerful herb on the planet for healing. And even Dr. Morse says that cannabis is great if you use it in a tincture or if you use it as an oil, but do not combust it, because it will lead to lung damage. Very, very powerful. The tobacco and tobacco markets to vaping, which is also extremely, extremely dangerous, causing massive destruction and disease. The tobacco industry does the best job of using this business model. At the height of smoking, 2/3 of American adults smoke. Those are epidemic numbers. The processed food industry is 13 times bigger than tobacco. Tobacco markets processed food to children, and we're going to see how and what the dire consequences of that are in a minute. Neuromarketing, which is highly studied and highly practiced by the tobacco industry in our food, but neuromarketing works to hijack normal brain processing for commercial or other gain, and it starts in childhood, against our knowledge and against our will. Let's look at some examples. How are they addicting our kids? Infant formula, 52% corn syrup. And in the Academy's masterclass on sugar, the truth about sugar, we look at the destructive quality of stuff like corn syrup. But 52%, look, it's the first ingredient on there. Absolutely horrible. Cereal for toddlers, 40 to 70% refined sugar. Age-driven advertising, kids idols selling fast foods, toys in fast food Happy Meals. And actually, San Francisco was the first to ban the selling of toys in Happy Meals because of the disastrous effect of having kids addicted to this very toxic food. And age-driven advertising, constant commercial bombardment, constant. I remember growing up as a kid, we always watched Saturday morning cartoons. It was just cartoons. There was no food advertising going on. Saturday morning cartoon ads, this is a great example. In 1987, there were 160 ads. In 1992, 264 ads. And in 1994, 564 ads, commercials for this toxic, very addictive food. And it only takes 5 commercials to influence toddlers' choice. So you can see the uphill battle that so many parents have, right? Yes, I used to let my kids watch a lot of TV because I'm a bad parent. No, I'm kidding. Because it was convenient, right? And there was some really good educational stuff. But back in those days, there weren't nearly as many commercials for these toxic things. It only takes five impressions for toddlers' choices to be affected. They did studies on this where they showed toddlers, they had 2 groups. They showed toddlers programming with no commercials for any processed food. And then the other group, they showed 5 commercials throughout the same programming. Then they put them all in the same room, all with the same access to the same treats. And the ones who were exposed 5 times to certain processed foods all went for those processed foods to eat. Nickelodeon reaches 65 million households. That's 65 million kids. And you've got to figure that a lot of those households have more than 1 kid in them. This is outrageous. And how has this shown up in, what has this resulted in? This has resulted in a 50% increase in the incidence of obesity in children ages 2 to 19 years old. That is absolutely shocking and needs to be talked about. All right, so how else are they getting us addicted and keeping us addicted? Availability and advertising is a big one. 60% of store purchases are completely unplanned, and there's been an explosion of grocery stores with intense bombardment of queues. I don't know if anybody's walked into a Costco lately. Oh my goodness, no matter how much you try to have your blinders on, those queues are popping, y'all. They're everywhere, in mass quantities, in mass abundance. They're everywhere, from the corner store, the corner IGA, to your big box stores. It is really out of control. They're keeping us addicted the same way they used tobacco back in the day. They used to have tobacco vending machines. Remember those? I remember that. I'm that old. They used to have cigarette vending machines so that it didn't matter if you didn't have your smokes on you. You always knew that you can easily buy a pack of smokes. Now, at least in some parts, you go into a store to buy cigarettes, and I remember when this started happening, where they banned completely the exposure. You can't even see the cigarettes in a lot of places, at least in Canada. You have to specifically ask for it, but that's okay. The tobacco industry said, that's all good. You want to ban tobacco? We're going after you with the food and putting availability in vending machines, very similar to the tobacco model. They're getting us addicted by availability on the road. You can't go driving down the road without seeing all the cues. Hey, I'm over here. Come here. Pull off here. Come get your fix here. How many of you have pulled off the road when you've seen one of these, because it's like it triggers you into thinking of that yummy thing that you want to get at that vending area? They're making availability and advertising at convenience stores so geared towards teenagers who are now driving, and they have a sense of freedom from parents. Convenience stores, did not used to be attached to every single gas station. It used to They used to sell gas at gas stations. That's it. Now it's widely available everywhere. Availability in workplaces. Oh my God. Oh, Fridays as a teacher in the staff room were always treat days. Always, always treat days. And it was incredible. Do you know as well that just the thought that that treat is in the staff room or in the office kitchen, just the thought of that starts the process of activating dopamine and opiates in your brain. That's right. And availability in schools. I mean, I could tell you some really sick stuff about that, but I'm not going to go there because I don't think that needs very much further explanation, but it is rampant, rampant in schools. It's so sad. And availability at coffee shops on college campuses. If you see there in the picture, it's circled, it says HKU Press. This is a picture from Hong Kong University where people are lined up in the rain, completely getting their fix of their toxic chemicals because they're so addicted. And especially in universities and colleges where you have a captive audience, you have basically all of your commercial needs being met as this coffee chain and others. You have people who are wanting to stay up late hours, who've stayed up late hours, who now need to wake up because they've got class, and there's this constant cycle of addiction to caffeine and a constant drip of caffeine. And they're making it so affordable. The affordability factor is so similar to cigarettes, just like you see here. You buy two, get two free. And once you have this in your house, like I said, it is a constant drip, a constant reminder. Oh, I can just go grab a. It's so convenient, right? It's like having your own convenience store right in your own home. And of course, we have the affordability of dollar meals. These set off cravings like crazy. And especially nowadays when food has become so expensive, like real, natural, wholesome, whole foods, it makes all of this a reality for so many people. It's so sad. So let's talk about a little bit about the brain chemistry that's involved here and the addictive formulation of these foods. So, multiple substances activate pathways in the brain and they are attaching to these receptors. For example, sugar activates the dopamine receptors, flour activates serotonin receptors, gluten activates opiate receptors, excessive salt activates, again, opiate receptors, dairy activates opiate receptors, and dairy is filled with casein and certain enzymes in the milk to help a baby calf sleep so that it can grow. So all of this proliferation of dairy, it is just so very toxic. In addition to the fact that it creates so much mucus, and we talk about this in the rest of the Real Juicy Detox Academy's courses, right? We talk about the combination of dairy with gluten. It's glue, and it just glues in the mucus right into at the cellular level. In addition to stimulating these drug-related responses in our body, it's no wonder that we feel drugged sometimes when we eat this kind of food. Processed fats activate the cannabis receptors. Caffeine activates the dopamine receptors. And food additives, who knows what those activate, but they definitely do a whole lot of damage. And by the way, for the record, food additives are not required by law to be listed on the label. Did you know that? So even if you read the label and you think you're doing yourself some, oh, look, it's got good ingredients in it, it's clean. In fact, they do not have to list any of the ingredients, the food additive chemicals into that. And actually, a little sidebar, a few months ago, Russell Brand did a piece on arsenic found in multiple different brands of baby food. Arsenic levels that were off the chart. They don't have to put that in there, y'all. It is really sad and really scary. The tobacco industry has added chemicals to tobacco. They've also added sugar to tobacco leaves during the drying process. And they've added chemicals to make low tar cigarettes. You know, that was a whole thing, right? Oh, low tar, so it's not going to be as damaging for your lungs. And they add certain chemicals and certain additives to give you the same high that you get from high tar cigarettes. There is something serious to be concerned about here, folks, when the tobacco industry is also providing us with our processed food. Could we all have a food addiction? Is that possible and not even realize it? So, the shift to addictive neuromarketing. When tobacco companies acquired processed food companies in the 80s, they created a new category of food called snacks. There was not this whole snacking craze that we see now. Um, in the beginning, the food processing companies, when they were acquired, and this is all researched and documented, but when they were acquired by tobacco, big tobacco industry said, we're going to make a whole range of snacks. And the food industry people said, well, you can't do that. People don't want snacks. They're going to be full from eating their, healthy food. And they said, no, screw that. That's the old model. We're doing this our way now. We know how to get people continuing to come back and buy our products. We know what we're doing. We're going to make a snack industry. Hunger does not sell snacks. You don't go and eat a snack because you're hungry. You go and eat a snack because you have a desire, a craving to eat that snack. This caused a shift from eating food to food addiction, from eating real food to using drugs disguised as food. And how did they do it? Let me tell you. There's this a dude called Howard Moskowitz, Harvard-trained psychology of marketing PhD, who mastered sugar addiction. He measured and increased the cravings or the addiction in food that had previously not had high levels of undetected sugar by adding just enough sugar, just to that threshold below which people couldn't tell if it was overly sweet. He calculated how to use sugar to create bliss point. A bliss point is an addictive high right to the threshold where people would say it was too sugary. High fructose corn syrup was also invented at around the same time. Now, Adam Drenovsky also discovered that fat cravings are insatiable. You can put as much fat in a product and people wouldn't mind. Monell Chemical Senses Center found that salt addiction can be taught through repeat exposure. So salt addiction, that addiction to salt can be taught over time. Get a little sip of my coconut water here. Babies are born with a preference for sweet. We all are. We are frugivores by design. That's why babies want sweet, because that's what we were designed to digest. And I go into all of this in the academy classes. We are frugivores by design. Our digestive system, our teeth, our level of hydrochloric acid in our stomach, all the enzymes in our bodies, everything, the length of our intestines, everything. We are by design frugivores. But if you put salt in babies' food, they develop an addiction to salt. Lunchables is a great example of this. Have y'all ever eaten a Lunchable snack? Oh my God. It is so salty and so highly marketed to busy moms for their children. So processed foods, when you process foods, they look, taste, and feel horrible. Salt, fat, and sugar are what give processed foods taste and texture. Salt, fat, and sugar combinations are highly, highly addictive. Maximizing profits at the cost of our health is a no-brainer for neuromarketers. So Dr. Joan Ifland did a lot of digging to find these findings, but these are the foods associated with obesity. I don't know if you can see that properly, but corn and wheat flour. And she looked at the amount that was being consumed in 1970, which is the blue column, and then 1997. And we can see the rise. These are the only foods that rose in prevalence. We're going to see the effect that this rise had shortly. What does the other one say? Oh, sweeteners. Then frozen potatoes, because, you got to have the fries at McDonald's, and dairy, processed dairy. So this shows that in terms of prevalence, here, yeah, prevalence over here. It only takes, so there was a significant increase in those foods that were consumed that are linked as well to obesity. It only takes 7 days for sugar to begin altering neurons addictively. Rats choose sugar over cocaine. That's significant. Sugar activates dopamine faster than cocaine. So we've all heard that before, right? White sugar is like cocaine. It's true because it activates the same chemical response in the brain. But sugar activates it faster. Fried potatoes contain salt, sugar. That's right. They're sprayed with maltodextrin, so they all taste the same no matter what time of the year that they're harvested, and starch altered by high heat. And let me tell you what else. They're all fried in canola oil, and canola oil also turns to formaldehyde in the body. I get into all of that good stuff in the academy course. Dairy contains 4 natural opiates as well. So here we can see the growth in consumption of those addictive foods from 1970 compared to 1997, and we can see the huge rise. And this is a really important thing to think about, you guys. In 1997, 1.16 pounds of addictive processed foods per person were consumed in a day in the US. Hang on a second, I just got to get one thing. Makeup. I'm starting to shine and shimmer here. I'm glowing. So in 1977, approximately 1 pound of addictive processed food per person per day in the United States. 37% increase in addictive foods. Neuromarketing works very effectively. Epidemics of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, memory loss, learning disabilities, you name it, baby. So how does this all work? How does neuromarketing use Pavlovian conditioning to teach? It teaches the limbic system to crave, that limbic system, the part of the brain that says, ooh, I want that, I want to eat. The CRF, or where's my little note? I had my note of, but the cortisol, stress cortisol releasing factor, the pathway to stress. The frontal lobe, it causes the frontal lobe to crash, and it causes mirror neurons to copy each other. We're going to talk about these in a minute. So let's first look at the limbic system. It provokes intense cravings, that this feels good, pleasure, reward, cravings, obsessions. And for an addiction, I'm doing something I don't want to be doing. The limbic system says, hey, that looks really good, I want it. The corticotropin releasing factor, or just think of cortisol, it's also directly linked to stress. This is a pathway, the pathway to releasing cortisol, the pathway to stress, worry, chronic anxiety, fear, panic, stress eating, panic eating. The stress pathway is affected by the craving pathway. The frontal lobe, it impairs everything about the frontal lobe. Remember the other day in our academy check-in, Alana asked about um, what can we do? And I said, try to keep things up in the frontal lobe where it says, hey, let's think about this. But that's not so easy to do if you've been having your entire brain shut down and your frontal lobe impaired. And the frontal lobe is actually very new in terms of brain development in our species. The other older parts of the brain are where the mirror neurons come in. And these mirror neurons is what have these are what have kept our species alive. It's the thing that makes us want to do what everybody else in our tribe is doing. And it is actually the key to getting out of the addiction as well. So the mirror neurons want to tell you to survive. Run when the tribe runs, hide when the tribe hides, because if you don't, if you stop to go back to your frontal lobe and go, let me think about this, is this a good decision for me right now? You're going to be eaten by whatever danger is out there. So it was instinctually bred into our brain, into our species, that we are going to copy those around us. You survive. You run when the tribe runs. You hide when the tribe hides. You look for food when the tribe is looking, right? You eat what the tribe eats, eat the processed food that everyone else is eating. You know how this goes, right? You're out at a family reunion and they've got the table spread of all the stuff, all the goodies. What do? Your tribe is eating it, so you're just going to break down and eat it. It's really hard to resist that. So again, food neuromarketing works like this. They make sure that it's available. Availability is a powerful stimulant. Availability in the home, in the workplace, on the road, vending machines, food outlets, social events. It works through advertising, associated cues, people, places, and things. You remove the price and you remove the availability barriers and you focus on the kids. That's how they get us. They get us good. Most brains have a normal braking system. So you have the food neurostimulation. The limbic system says, ooh, that looks really, really good. I really want some of that. But then your frontal lobe kicks in and goes, hey, Burns, you're trying to really get your shit together here. You really want to clean up some stuff. You're healing a bunch of different things in your body. Maybe that wouldn't be such a great idea. You know what? No thanks. I'm going to go get my healthy living food and I'm going to fill myself up and nourish and nurture myself. That's your frontal lobe, right? Everything works like that. That's your braking system. But what happens when neuromarketing cuts the brakes on that frontal lobe action? Your limbic system hyperactivates. It gets really crazy. It says, eat, 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 and it pulls the blood supply away from the frontal lobe until your frontal lobe is going, but your brain can't hear that because the neuromarketing has cut that line. The limbic system then kicks in, something's wrong, the stress, the cortisol releasing factor, and everything starts feeding into each other. The frontal lobe goes completely asleep. And even if you have a healthy protocol, that very healthy protocol or that diet or whatever you want to call it, that detox protocol, just starts bringing up all kinds of resistance for you. It starts making you go into starvation and famine mode, and I saw this actually on my diet protocols that I had, where I was writing down everything that I had. I would do my diet for a few days and then I would go into starvation mode because my stress was increased and my entire brain was completely hijacked. And this leads to what we call the Bermuda Triangle of food addiction, right? It's leading to compulsive eating, and this is where lives are lost. This is where disease happens. This is where you become so consumed with the addiction that you have that it's all you can think about. You don't want to spend time with your kids. You're waiting to, for everybody to go away so that you can do your binge eating. And by the way, does not just apply to people that are overweight. I just want to pop in here and say, I know a lot of people who are very lean and very slender and have intense binging addiction. because they're addicted to the same chemicals in these foods. It's not just about people being overweight that have these issues. What ends up happening is that thought fusion sets in. You're just so confused. And this is what you start saying, something like, I want to eat, but I shouldn't. I have no willpower, but I'm hungry. I'll just eat one. Oh, you're such a pig. Oh my God, you're so disgusting. No wonder, no wonder, no wonder your life is a mess. It's hopeless. I'm going to eat the whole thing. Who cares anyway? No one likes me. I don't even like me. Screw this. I'm going to eat a dozen. I hate myself. I'll have a dozen of the rainbow sprinkles. I hope no one sees me. So sad. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. So there are some things that food addicts need to learn how to do. We need to learn to avoid triggers, how to shop for food, how to prepare food, how to store food, how to carry food, how to order in restaurants, how to turn off food pushers. Oh my God, I know people that are real food pushers, y'all. You can't tell them, no thanks, I'm trying to eat healthy. It doesn't agree with my stomach. You can try all different kinds of ways, and they're always pushing food. But have it, but I made it for you. Laying on the guilt trip. Really, really hard, really hard to fight off that. It's really hard, but we need to learn how to persuade exasperated partners of ours who are like, oh, this is just another one of your diets. Oh, it's so stupid. Oftentimes, they're addicted to the same things that we are. We need to learn how to navigate work and social circles. We need to learn how to set boundaries with toxic people, how to turn off cravings, how to feel positive, how to be healthy, how to live in a new body shape, how to detox and heal, how to find fun things to do with our time, and how to wean off of screens. And these are all things that we focus on at the Real Juicy Detox, in the Academy specifically. But, there's a lot to learn, and the learning function has crashed. We need to flip the mirror neurons from the neuromarketer side to our side. We need to get the mirror neurons focused on a new tribe, which is what we do with the Real Juicy Detox and within the Academy specifically. The mirror neurons are more powerful than any other system in the brain. Remember, it's that primitive part of the brain that has been designed to protect us. You run when the tribe runs. You eat what the tribe eats. You do what the tribe does, lest you be endangered and lest you be ostracized by the tribe. You can retain mirror neuron. You can retrain mirror neurons to override any other part of the brain, and it does not take very long. You can definitely do this, and we work on this all the time. You guys who were around for the early starting days of the Real Juicy Detox, the first 6 months, actually, that's what we did. We were intensive, we were focused, we were creating our new tribe, where we had this thing whereby the same triggers could come up, and our mirror neurons kicked in. It said, are you kidding? My tribe doesn't eat that processed food crap. My tribe does living food. My tribe is looking at how to incorporate more raw, beautiful living food. My tribe knows how to cook healthy, cooked, clean food. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? The addict's brain has been hijacked by chemicals in their food. That's one thing to really keep in mind. Our learning function has crashed. We must flip mirror neurons from the neuromarketer side to our side. However, mirror neurons are very, very fickle, and they are either overriding dysfunction or creating dysfunction all of the time. So let's look at conformance. You guys are doing great, by the way. You're hanging in. How's everybody doing? Let me just check real quick. Yay! Okay. You guys are doing great. So our mirror neurons. So when we are around people that are creating a healthy lifestyle, they're detoxing from decades of toxic eating. They're not eating processed foods. They have calm control over their food. They're energetic. They're optimistic. They're not in need of medication. Carol, by the way, we mentioned Carol a little bit earlier about how you were able to completely turn around 38 years of blood pressure medication after just 3 days on watermelon juice. Yay, Carol. So not in need of any medication, not in need of medical procedures. We're learning, we're growing. These are the things that are mirror neurons when we are around healthy people, And when we're exposing ourselves to a healthy lifestyle with healthy people, these are what the mirror neurons do for us. They create health. But if we hang around with people who are clearly not clearing out toxins on a cellular level, people who are raving about processed food, people who are helplessly eating, tired, depressed, taking medication, talking about medical procedures all the time, stuck in life, we tend to mirror those behaviors. So, how do we flip mirror neurons? We flip them with a healthy tribe, with more than 5 people, with people that we know well, that we know, love, and trust. Are people who are doing something that we've done a lot, and people who are doing these things, especially with food. So, mirror neurons definitely explain why some people can't start or why they quit. So I want you guys to remember that anytime you think about an addiction to processed food, I want you to think about it from the perspective of nicotine. Use nicotine for that understanding. So when we talk about overeating as opposed to an addiction, we are focused on emotional eating. Well, we don't see people talking about, well, I'm an emotional smoker. Well, sometimes they do. But it's, you know, the things balance out. Eating disorder versus a breathing disorder, childhood issues when we are overeaters versus smoking because of trauma. Oftentimes, we have been conditioned in society to think that people who are overeating are lazy. And just like smoking, it would be just like saying, well, just lose the weight or just stop smoking. It's not that easy when we're constantly triggered, when we have availability, and advertising and all of the cues to battle against, right? And overeating makes the stomach smaller. It's kind of like smoking makes the trachea smaller. And we have to have a shift in our understanding of quitting instead of from an overeating perspective, we have to look at it from a food addiction perspective. So oftentimes we think that people who overeat lack willpower. It's not that they lack willpower, it's that they have an incorrect diagnosis. They're food addicts. It's not that they're overeaters. We perceive them as being very gluttonous or having gluttony. Dieting is a mismatch to food addiction. Haven't hit rock bottom yet. They actually need a lot more support when they're struggling with this. Exercise, we think that, oh, you got to exercise, calories in, calories out. It's not that. We have a cognitive impairment that we need to heal. And a lot of times overeaters feel like, oh, why am I always self-sabotaging? It's not that you're not self-sabotaging, honey. You're not. Your mirror neurons have been kidnapped. They've been hijacked. So we need to have a new perspective. Here's the new perspective, okay? This is not your fault. It's not your fault. You're not stupid. You're not lazy. You're not irresponsible. You don't lack willpower. My God, the willpower we've had to muster just to get through so much of that stuff and try to, do a detox protocol or a diet protocol. We got willpower, baby. But this willpower is no match for neuromarketing. But I will tell you what is in a minute. All the other belittling things that you've said to yourself or had said to you or about you, right? That's all bullshit. I'm telling you right now, it's a lie. You've been addicted against your knowledge and against your will. You can break free from the stronghold of this, and it's going to take some tender, loving care to do it. Breaking the cycle of addiction is a family affair. Like any addiction, whether it is to alcohol, drugs, shopping, pornography, food, it's not just a matter of saying, well, then just stop doing it, while everyone around you continues to enable the addiction. We wouldn't drink in front of a family member who is trying to recover from an alcohol addiction or buy drugs for a loved one with a drug addiction. And actually, I used to love watching Intervention. Remember that show, Intervention? And it was just so interesting how you can see how many people do actually enable family members to continue to use by buying them drugs or taking them out to buy drugs. But you can't get through this and you can't get over this if you have that kind of enabling. This would be enabling the destructive, addictive behavior. So when I started this Juicy Detox back in June of 2020, and I was ready to really clean up my entire life. These are the 4 non-enabling rules that I naturally implemented in my household without even realizing that I was doing this, and without even realizing that this was such an important aspect to healing from this processed food addiction. I just said, that's it. I can't handle certain things, and this is going down. I actually emptied out the fridge, emptied out all the cupboards, and put everything that was toxic and everything that was harmful and everything that was processed on the counter. And then I had the family come in and say, you see all of this? This is what has caused my cancer to be in my body. Not only this, it's been a lifetime of it. I've been addicted to sugar since my very first memory. I'm not kidding you. Processed white sugar. But this is what I did. No processed food is allowed in the house. And I've implemented this now since we've returned back to Mexico. No processed food allowed in the house. Everything that we bought, I'm chalking it up to a mistake. Everything that we brought back from Canada because, we can't get this here in Mexico, anything that's processed, I'm chalking it all up to, this was a mistake. And we're just going to have to suck it up. But it's going to go in the garbage. No one is allowed to eat that shit in front of me because I'm an addict and it will trigger me. No family members are allowed to bring it into the house. And if they do, they get a new one ripped into them, if you know what I mean, and it goes in the garbage. No purchasing of it for other people. I'm not allowed to purchase it for other people in the household either. So neuromarketers or you, excuse me, we have to take this very seriously, right? We really do. If we allow the neuromarketers to control our brain and to hijack our brain, we're never going to get over this. We're never going to heal from this very serious and very pervasive addiction. So neuromarketers cause us to stress, to crave, and to buy. But what we need to do is to retrain our mirror neurons to protect and restore ourselves. We have to make a shift from overeating to addiction, and we have to fight this like a neuromarketer. We have to find a band of healthy warriors. We have to get set up, which is happening in our free Real Juicy Detox group on Facebook, and as part of our paid academy course. We have to spend hours a day with them. This is absolutely essential if we want to retrain those mirror neurons to do like our healthy tribe is doing. And you'll be amazed and astonished at what you do when you do that, at what you can achieve consistently. And you have to keep it up for a lifetime and never let go of it, which is one thing that I love about our academy, because in the Real Juicy Detox Academy, which is officially launching on September 14th, we have our online support group. We have twice weekly Zoom check-ins with me so that we can see each other face to face. We can share, we can become a part of this beautiful peer-to-peer support. Relapse is normal, and we will help you through it. We all go through it. There is no shame in it. Listen, after you've just seen everything that I've just talked about with this addiction and how they've done it to us, we can see it's not our fault. We're going to have relapses from time to time. We are here to help you through it and to support you and love you along the way. We are here. We give new hope to people who have failed. And we have to also learn, this is very, very, very important. We have to learn how to detox and how to heal from decades of addiction, toxicity, and damage, because it is for real. This stuff is locked in our cells on a deep, deep level, cellular, deep level. We have to learn how to get these toxins out of our system, because that is the only way that our body is going to be able to regenerate our system. It's not just good enough to just stop eating the sugar or stop eating the fill in the blank processed food. We need to clean all this junk out. And that's what we do in the Real Juicy Detox. Oh, there you can see what a lovely reflection, a lovely view. So that is it for the presentation for today. Let me scroll up and see your beautiful comments. How are you guys doing? I hope you liked that. I hope you got some value out of it. Let me know in the comments if any of that resonated with you. Let's see here. Let's scroll down. Okay, Ramoon Sue says, I'm going through a cancer scare. The doctors want to biopsy my womb. I'm moving on to all fruits and a vegan diet. Good. I'm mainly fruits, but give into cravings, which is vegan processed junk. Yeah, we all do. The vegan processed junk food is made by the same tobacco companies, darling. Just because they say vegan and just because it's plant-based, it's very, very toxic stuff for you. I would we do not encourage people to get biopsies at all. Biopsies damage already compromised tissue. What I would do if I were you is exactly what you're doing. Try to go as high fruit as possible. Get into the academy if you can. The course officially launches on September 14th. I'll have VIP pricing, and that will be my next and final masterclass, as it were, or webinar, where I'm going to break down exactly what you're going to get in the course and how much it's going to be. The support is going to be off the chart amazing, and it's so powerful. This class is actually going to be the first class of 15 on the whole process, because honestly, we cannot be successful long-term on a detox unless and until we understand the processed food addiction component. Excuse me. Oh, Dawn says, on our current Juicy Detox, yay, the one we're doing now, awesome. My tennis elbow stopped bothering me. It had been painful for months, no pain whatsoever now. Yay, that's awesome. Yep, that's when you met me, Dawn, in 2020. That 55 years young photo and mohawk made me pay attention. Thank you. That's awesome. That's why I post it. That's why I post it. If it comes from a plant, eat it. If it's made from a plant, leave it alone. Exactly. Exactly. I think there are not many people without a processed food addiction. The struggle is real. We all have it, y'all. We all have it. Yeah, Sue says it's so messed up. It is. Yep, the epidemic addiction business model. Crazy, right? They are out to get us. And you know what? They have. They got us good, babe. They got us real good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the Cookie Monster back up here because I don't like that reflection of that light. You know me, kind of OCD over here. Not apologetically. Yes, it is absolutely insane. Convenience and instant gratification, right? Oh, thank you so much. Is that Melinda? Thanks, Melinda. Such a great presentation, Vern. So glad that you liked it. They hook you on sugar, salt, and oil. It's in everything, man. Carol, we're so glad you're here. And Carolyn, preach. Yes, girl. Yes, yes. Christine says, thank you for understanding that and education and educating us about it. You know what? It is my raison d'etre, my reason for being, to help people on their path to health and wellness and vitality and well-being. Until we get this processed food addiction under wraps, understood, and out the door, we are going to struggle and continue struggling. And it is going to take time. It's going to take time, but it's okay. We're going to do it together. Ron, Ronnie, how could I ever forget about you, Ron? Never. You're doing awesome. Awesome. Power couple right there. Okay, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. I made it through. I made it through the rain. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to be actually presenting this class again tomorrow, probably in the afternoon sometime, and streaming it as well to my Facebook page, my Facebook profile. And I'm also going to work on a processed food addiction quiz that you guys can take and see your actual scores. But that is all for tonight. I want to send you so much love your way. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this on the replay and if you watched all the way through. I love that you guys were all here. I love you all. Oh, thanks, Dawn. Great class. I've missed this so much. I've missed teaching the classes live too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And much love to you as well, Carol. All right, I love you guys.